It is finally time for Bojji to return to the anime. Not Bojji. Bojji's dead. Bojji has now arrived.
Is that where you're gonna go with? Gochi?
I mean, that's what everyone's hyping him up for to be. He's the strongest in the mirror. He split that raw, you know, and we're finally gonna learn what his sword looks like.
I mean, he has a pretty interesting sword that we get to see today when he unveils it. So now we get a good look at Bojji's sword, and in an earlier episode I said, Bojji would probably have a rapier style sword. As you see here, it doesn't really have the complex hilt of a rapier. It has a very simple guard, more or less along the lines.
Okay, so like we all know, it's a toothpick. It was a toothpick. I got it right. I told you guys he would wield a toothpick. No other further explanation needed, right, Freddy?
I mean, it could be a foil, an epee, small
No,
sword.
it's a toothpick. It's clearly the only thing you can hold and wield. But does it do damage? Is Bojji really Bojji, or is he still classic Bojji?
You're really gonna stick with Gochi.
Yeah, at least for this episode, right? So in this clip, we're gonna see the Bojji use his sword. And I'm shocked. I'm like, what just happened? And like every other anime where like the person puts away their sword and then the guy falls, without that cool looking effect of putting the sword away, Bojji's still pointing straight forward.
I mean, he can't really do the whole thing where they put the sword back into the scabbard because
He left it behind.
he left it behind. By the way, speaking of the scabbard, why is it so massive?
It's a bluff, is what Despa said.
A bluff.
I don't know what the bluff is for, but it's a bluff.
Bojji's the size of a quarter. Who is he gonna scare with that bluff?
Somebody who's the size of a nickel.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah, and you see a quarter-sized sword on his lap. Yeah, your nickel's gonna run away, huh? You're gonna take your pennies and move.
I will run for the hills from...
You're gonna dime away.
I almost said Gochi. I could not bring myself to say it. But speaking of Despa, we get an interesting scene with him.
Right, it happens right after the scene where he explains Bojji's abilities and how they work. And after you saw that scene, you kind of felt like, is it real? Is it fake? You're kind of questioning it because it doesn't have that thematic anime that we've been seeing in this show, where when somebody gets beat, like you see them coughing up spit, or they're knocked down, or they make a statement saying it's done. But in this case, we just see them dizzy around like a Tom and Jerry character and then fall.
Yeah.
So then we see this scene. And that light music does wonders for this scene, creating that like, aw, Despa, what did you do?
Yeah, at first you think Despa pawned to Bojji, and I think, oh hey, you're totally strong now. You could totally do anything.
Right, took their money, got rid of them. They only been training for 7 days at most. I think it's only been like 6 days a week.
Yeah. As it turns out, he did pay those 3 guys to fight them in the bar.
Oh, he didn't, because they wouldn't take his money.
Oh, right, they wouldn't take his money.
And he was more than gladly put it right back in his pocket.
Well, his pants. I don't think Despa has pockets.
Well, whatever worked.
As it turns out, those 3 guys started the fight just because Despa wanted to see Bojji fight.
Yeah, and I also think this was a scene where we get to establish Bojji as Bojji. He is now the GOAT of this universe, at least. Bojji over here. I think he could take on Sukuna, unlike Gojo.
Just dodge everything.
Oh, I mean, Sukuna has a weak point eventually somewhere.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Bojji gets this chance to show off his strength. Him and Kage get a real fight, and the first fight that we've actually seen him win offensively.
Okay.
We've seen him win dodging. He beat Data dodging.
Yeah. Speaking of dodging, Kage brings up the question of how he got to be so agile in the first place, and we actually get an answer for that.
It's due to dodging rocks.
Bojji-sama.
The real reason is it's due to our Cerberus snake friend. He teaches Bojji not only to dodge rocks, but also to read lips and to sense his environment through physical capabilities. Put up against odds to the other person he owes his life to, Bebin, who wants Deida to be king and doesn't see that Bojji is qualified in the same ways that Deida is to be king.
Yeah, but he still doesn't stop him though. He continues to let the serpent train Bojji.
Yes, it seems like currently he doesn't see a conflict yet of interest, but he does go out his way to make sure that Daida is gonna be king. Kage reveals to Bojji that Bebin told him what happened and that there was a conspiracy to not only get him kicked out for being king, but there's also a conspiracy for him to get murdered.
Yeah, everything's going down in the castle. Kage brings it up that now it's time to return to the kingdom.
Yeah, the way Bebin describes it is like, well, then why would you want to help Bojji if you're pro Daida, right? Because he clearly states it to Kage that he is for King Daida,
Yeah, turns out that helping Bojji also helps out Daida.
or at least we hope.
Yeah.
But how did Bebin know this ahead of time? It's very strange.
Yeah, the snake says something about being able to see prophecies.
Maybe that's where he got it.
Yeah.
To see this moment of Bojji losing trust in healing for a couple of seconds. Like we said in the last episode, she's a great mom.
Yeah.
His doubts completely turned over and said, no, there's no way that she would do this.
We even get a couple of flashbacks of more times that Bojji spent with healing to show off, like, hey, she's a pretty good mom.
Like, he had a quick second of doubt that Damis, Heroku, and healing.
For absolutely no reason. This man did nothing wrong.
Yeah, but they all were there and involved in this adventure.
Fair enough.
Looking from the outside in, you're like, oh, they betrayed him. We, the audience, know that all three of these, except for Damis, two of them were not in on this betrayal at all, and Damis was following orders. It seemed like Daida was following the advice of the mirror, who betrayed him as well.
Yeah.
But now Bojji has Kage with him, Despa with him, the admiration of these knights, and I think he's gonna come back and be the hero that he was meant to be.
Gonna stick everyone with that epee.
While we're talking about sticking everyone, how about you get your rapier out and hit that subscribe button?
Okay, that's puns, aren't they?
Yeah, I should have
Fun.
said toothpick.
Uh-huh.
So like Goat G, hit that subscribe button. Have a good day.
Laters.